Uprooted Theatrical Studios presents.
It's 10 Tips Tuesday.
All right, so 10 tips. Ooh-wee, y'all. I have not worn makeup in 2.5 months, 3 months. I don't know. So, oh no, I forgot the first and most important step. This is what happens when you don't have access to your bathroom and you're trying to do your makeup on your phone instead of in your mirror. Oh, wow. Oh, priming my skin. I haven't worn anything in so many weeks. I've just been using them filters. Much better. Okay, so on the mic, there we go. So Madison had asked me to give a list of 10 tips for new producers or for people trying to create their own production company or theater company. So a little bit about me. My name is Kayla Friend. And I am the founder and creative producer and formerly the artistic director of Moxie Arts New York. So we were founded as THML Theater Company in 2017. We decided to rebrand as Moxie Arts New York in fall 2019. So we are a not-for-profit independent theater production company that specifically centers our work around stories by and about women plus. So we only produce in different stages of development work that is specifically by women plus. And that could be a play, it could be a musical. We mostly do theatrical production. We have not ventured into film, although who knows with the way that things are going now. So that's a bit about me and what I am doing currently. Madison had actually worked with Moxie last year. She was a really wonderful intern and a huge part of our team. Other general things about me. So I do not do the arts full time. I wish that I did, but I actually I work in corporate HR. I used to work for the US government. I've lived in 3 states and 4 different countries, and I speak English, obviously, as well as conversational Gulf Arabic, but my background is I am Mexican and German. So those are a couple of fun facts. Okay, so now into the 10 tips for you as you are trying to start your production company or as you are founding your theater company. 10 tips to be a producer. So, number 1, the first thing on my list is know that it is okay to learn by doing. Theater production is just one of those careers that they are not going to teach you everything in school. They're actually not going to teach you most of the things that you will need to learn in school. Even if you have an undergraduate degree, even for some people a master's degree, most of producing is learned really on the job, on your feet, going through actual shows. So know that it is okay to learn by doing. So get that out of the way for just the very first thing. Know that you don't have to walk into this profession knowing everything. Most of us learn by doing. Number 2, ask questions when you don't know the answer, or you can Google it. I always encourage people to do this. The biggest thing is really, if you don't know an answer, don't pretend that you do. If it's a short timeline and they are looking for someone with the answer and you don't know it yet, don't be afraid to Google it. Go to somebody else who knows how to do it. Ask the questions. Find out on the internet. We have so much at our fingertips now that we don't take advantage of. Please know that you can absolutely Google it. That is completely acceptable. make sure that you can back things up with your research, but really ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask professionals who have been doing this longer than you have. There's absolutely no shame in that. Number 3, understand that some people may only be here for a season. Now, this was probably one of the hardest things to get over my first year. As I was founding my company, really what it sprung out of was one particular production where I really, really wanted to direct this play, and I didn't know how to do that in New York. I didn't know how to raise money for theater. I didn't know what else went into production other than obviously like directing and the things that you learn in school. So I partnered with a nonprofit to actually do my very first production here, and they helped me raise my funds in order to do the show. And so it was, co-produced by myself and this other nonprofit. And, I started out basically kind of alone, but I gained a lot of friends and a lot of really great people to work alongside during the process of that very first production. And there were people who came out of the end of that process who wanted to work with me again and who wanted to build this company and who really believed in the mission of creating new works and producing new works that are specifically written by women plus. Because it's just such an underserved population for producing in particular. And so I had a lot of people my very first year who were wonderful partners, wonderful encouragers. They were really such an integral part of starting this company, but that's not what they wanted to do long term. They were actors or they had other interests. I think one of my initial partners actually went into corporate finance, which is awesome. She loves it. Not everyone will be there with you every single step of the way. If this is your baby, if this is your brainchild, if this is really your passion and what you want to do in life, partner with people who will really encourage you and uplift you in the season that you need. And don't take it too personally if they can't be around for forever. Folks are really wonderful, and you can learn something new from every person that you work with. Don't be too upset if that is not what they want to do long term, because the fact is producing is hard and it's not for everybody, and it's a very different part of the arts. And it's okay for people to try it out and to help you and for them to decide that it's not for them. Okay, number 4. Acknowledge that your first year, or maybe even your first 2 years or even 3, will not be your best year. Good things can take a while to cultivate and figure out. Please be gracious with yourself and give yourself time to get good at it. It's okay if in your first 1, 2, or even 3 or 4 productions that you're not recouping all of your expenses. That is very normal. I would say to keep in mind that when you're going into producing, know that you do have to start up front with a lot of capital. And that doesn't mean that you have to start out and come into this profession being wealthy or having contacts. It means that if you don't have those things, you have to be good at fundraising, and that's okay. And that's a very different skill set, and you might have to work at that and cultivate that. But just know that your first year especially is probably not going to be profitable. It's probably not even going to break even, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that you are doing it incorrectly. It doesn't mean that it's not successful. It's just how businesses work. So anticipate that from the get-go. Number 5, learn from your mistakes, both personally and professionally. I think that this has been one of the harder ones for me. I am very ambitious and I am very just go, go, go. And I've made mistakes, and that's hard, especially for people who are who are leaders, who are founders, who are brand new to whatever they're doing, and they've just really got all this energy and effort. It's hard to admit. It's hard to admit that you have made mistakes, but it's so important. First of all, admitting that yes, you have made a mistake with your company, with your colleagues, with decisions, and learning from those mistakes and getting better every time. Acknowledging is the first part, and it's so important in order to actually learn. So acknowledge and learn from your mistakes. Number 6, this goes a bit hand in hand with number 2, but educate yourself on what you don't understand. Take classes, ask for sample documents or budgets or programs, invest in yourself in this industry. I cannot stress that enough. Again, so much of this you are learning by doing. And so if you need to seek those outside resources, please do. There's no shame in that. I think that one of the first things that I realized, and again, this goes hand in hand with mistakes and learning things from your first season and stuff like that. One of my first productions that we had with with our company, I signed a bad contract. I did not know a lot about how to read theatrical contracts. I didn't know a lot about negotiating. I didn't know about what a lot of different terms meant and how to really read into the legal language. And I signed a bad contract, and we had a really fantastic show and made basically no money because of that bad contract. So from there, I was devastated. I was so upset. I thought I had made such a terrible mistake when it's a very common mistake, especially when you're first starting out and especially if you don't know how to read legal contracts. So I had the opportunity over a summer to take a paralegal course. I specifically wanted to learn about how to write contracts, about how to read contracts. I wanted to absorb all of the information that I could. And you don't always have to pay for these classes. There are actually entertainment producers here, there are entertainment lawyers here in this city, in New York City, and probably even in most metropolitan areas that you're in, who offer free seminars to artists so that they can figure out the ins and outs of the legal system around producing theater. It's complicated, and you need to know how to read a contract. You need to know how to write a contract. So take the time to really educate yourself, take advantage of those classes, take advantage of the free seminars. Never turn down education that will help you as a producer. It's really just an investment in yourself, and it can only make you smarter, and it can make you better at what you do. Okay. Number 7. Networking is not just about knowing the who's who of rich people. It's about doing your very best work no matter who you are around. So this is really important. I think a lot of people, everyone really emphasizes networking, and I think a lot of people take that to mean like you need to schmooze, you need to be around the people who can invest in your projects and things like that. And that's not necessarily untrue. I think you do need to, everyone needs, especially if you're going to be a producer, you need to develop some of those skills, which is really just, people skills and being able to pitch and market. But a huge part of networking, especially in larger metropolitan areas, is doing your very best work wherever you are working. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I have actually been hired on projects or been asked to collaborate on projects or been handed productions and handed contracts because I stage managed for so-and-so when they needed someone and they saw that I had a really good work ethic. Or I came in last minute as a person helping with costumes, or I was a production assistant on something. Really just whatever you're doing, no matter what the level is that you're at, work hard. And honestly, that shows people that you can do what you say you do. And it really does genuinely lead to other jobs. That is how so much networking happens specifically here in New York City. People will hire people that they know. And how do they know them? They've worked with them on projects before. So make sure that when you are working on these different productions, no matter your capacity, you are working hard and making a good impression. Number 8, pick projects and hills to die on that matter. Don't sweat the small stuff. This is really important, especially as you begin to ramp up your production company, as you take on larger projects, as you work with people who are higher up in the industry. When you're working with names, don't sweat the small stuff. And that doesn't mean don't care about the details. It just means learn to pick your battles. They are not all worth it. They are not all worth the stress and the anxiety and the time that they're going to take out of your day and out of your emotional well-being. Be very wise and careful about the things that you put all of your emotional energy into. Number 9, know that you will encounter not one, not two, but probably multiple difficult people or projects on your road to becoming a successful producer or successful theater company. Learn from all of it. This is really big because I think that some people will think that maybe if they hit one or two road bumps and they have certain people or projects that can be really difficult to work on, it makes people kind of run for the hills. It makes people think maybe I'm not good at this, maybe this isn't for me, maybe everybody in the industry is like this, and it's just not true. Everybody is going to have to deal with someone difficult at some point in their career. And we're all human, we're all working with humans. I mean, theater is such a collaborative experience, and it's all made up of humans. We're flawed. So just know that you will work with difficult people, you will work on difficult projects, and sometimes you might be the difficult person in the difficult project. Try not to be, but just realize that, again, we are all human. Learn from those difficult projects, take from them what you can, and move forward with positivity. Number 10, know when to take steps back. This is really important, especially if you are the person who is sort of leading your team, if you might be the founder of the company, if you are the executive producer, or if you are aspiring to be that way. Know when to take steps back for yourself. If you are taking things too personally with your work, if you are overwhelmed with stress, if you are, if the art form has sort of changed for you and doesn't hold the same meaning, maybe, know when to take steps back. And 2, on that same point, make sure that your team is there to take the reins when you can't. And this really does come down to selecting a great team. And again, acknowledging that not everyone is going to be there for every single step of the way. Not everyone is meant to stay on the team for every season. But surround yourself with people that you trust, and surround yourself with people who can get the job done in the meantime. I think everyone will run into this at one point or another, where the work that you're doing just doesn't feel satisfying, or it doesn't hold the same meaning, or maybe it's just become too much of work and it's not special anymore. It's not art. It's not encouraging. It's not positive for you. Don't feel bad if you have to take a step back for a while to reignite that for yourself. That doesn't mean that you're a quitter. It doesn't mean that it's done. It doesn't mean that you're no longer going to go back to theater at all or to producing. It means that you need to take some time for yourself and recenter, figure out what's important. Continue to, work on things from afar and trust your teammates. It's a really great exercise in trusting the others who are on your team. I hope that these 10 tips have been helpful. Maybe you can see a show of ours in the future after all the COVID stuff is done. Until then, happy producing, happy entrepreneuring, and I hope to see more projects that you're all working on in the future.